Welcome to Lifted Living with Kevin Bigley and Austin Hughes. Today we're going to be talking about sun gazing, mostly bigs because I don't really have too much experience in it. But I'm going to be asking him some questions and we're going to go over his answers and we're going to dive deep into this thing. So let's get started. Alright Biggs, so how long have you been sun gazing?
Over 4 years.
4
Maybe
years.
4.5 years.
And what would you say first made you want to start sun gazing?
Well, it's always been a thing, the sun, you go out to the beach, it's always an uplifting time, but you never really wanted to directly look at it.
Right. They tell you since a kid you don't want to do that. It's gonna mess your eyes up. It's gonna hurt you. Like it's gonna make you go
Yeah,
blind.
everybody's saying, you're not supposed to look at it.
Right.
But
And it even
I
has
found a mentor,
you found a mentor that got you into it. Okay.
and the guys in India were doing it, and I was at a point where I was just ready for it. I was hungry and seeking, thirsty. I dove into it, and immediately had success and kept going with it through the months. Within 3 or 4 months, I was, noticing very, very uplifting benefits.
Now, when you sun gaze, you do it with no shoes on, right? You ground yourself to the earth. Is that right?
I've done everything in the car, with shoes, no shoes. Barefoot grounded is the best.
Okay.
That's the highest charge.
All right. Now, what is one of the most defining experiences that you have with sun gazing? Like, what's one of the most uplifting things you've experienced?
It's such a meditation. It's associated with so much peace. Let's see. Man, there's so many.
Well, why don't you tell me about the one that we discussed just a few minutes ago where you had a whiteout and all that? Why don't you go talk us through that experience?
Oh, yeah. Shoot, maybe about a year into it, some people call it a crown chakra burst.
Crown chakra burst?
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you experience in this crown chakra burst?
It was like 45 minutes into a morning sun gaze. I caught it right from the horizon crack. And your energy centers, when it gets hit with that much energy constantly, they get to a maximum point, and it kind of just like overflows. And it was an overwhelming euphoria. Everything went white, and then it was just all senses, clarity, concentration, all parameters just up, and it stays elevated like that for days, even if you don't do it the next day.
Wow.
Yeah, it's one thing we gotta learn to see though. The sun is the source of all life.
There's no
And
denying
if we can
that.
go right to it. What I found maybe to help people out, when you start, you can't look at it, for hours straight, and it hurts you sometimes, and it can blind you. But just
So
like,
how did you work up to getting to that point where you said now you can lock in and look at it at high noon?
Yeah.
So how did you work your way up to that?
Well, I figured out the physiology of the glands going on right here. And then I took the insight from those mentors that have been doing it for years. And it's just like our eyelid right here.
Right.
Opens and closes. The thalamus is right in front of the pineal. And there's an eyelid in front of the pineal gland. And through exposing yourself to the low first and last light, those soft levels of the sun.
Like sunrise and sunset.
Yeah, through those low levels, and then the next day you would go out a little bit earlier, 5 minutes earlier. That little eye, it's like hardened in a way maybe, but that little thalamus gland will open up to allow you to receive it more. So I noticed after 2 to 4 months maybe, it was just, you could add 10 minutes the next day, 10 minutes the next day. And then like within 6 months, I could do a straight hour. I remember specifically having a watch, and being like, "Damn, you guys did an hour."
Wow.
And I specifically didn't want to eat in the morning. Go straight gaze and just drinking water, and then you have fun with it. You know, you push it and see how far you can take it with the food thing. And even though I do have ended up eating, you know, meals pretty much every day, you know, you notice
You don't feel like you need as much, is what you're saying.
you don't need as much. The plants do it; they're able to collect it. I almost see the light as pre-matter. I see it as like these smaller bits of particles, then even atoms, and then the atoms make the molecules, and then the molecules. So whatever you need in your body, when it goes in, it distributes it correlatedly to as you need it.
Okay. So you just said, you know, one of the benefits is you don't have to eat as much. You still can, but you don't have to eat as much when you do it. I guess what are some of the other benefits that you've noticed, you know, from doing this for so long?
Mainly the mood.
Your mood. Good mood all the time?
Immediately, you're way happier
Really?
because you're charged up. You know.
Right.
All like I said earlier, all parameters, man.
Does it
your
give you-
concentration, your skillness.
Okay.
It'll come first on the physical level.
Like what? Like energy or like? Can you explain how it comes physically a little bit more?
Yeah. Yeah. Say if you're lifting weights, you know,
Okay.
if you hit a 30-minute sun gaze in the morning, it'll be like forget the pre-workout. Like you're going. Everybody's looking at you in the gym, like, man, what did he eat? You know. I've done it at this skate park. I've skateboarded a lot before. I would stop. People would look at me and be like, dang, he's looking at the sun. Like 20 minutes and look away and start skating again. These kids couldn't believe it. That's possible, you know. So it's one thing I think we're designed to be with. And it's a very, very high, great reward there in all that patience of doing the work and growing it and working it. On the other side of that, there's remarkable, beautiful life. You can have the power to create almost anything you need.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot. So let me ask you this: what are your daily sun gazing habits now after 4 years?
See, the thing is, it's accessible at all times of the day, even noontime.
So you just kind of wing it whenever you can get some gazing in. You will.
I started off originally doing the mornings and the sunsets. Sometimes it'll be cloudy in the mornings. You can't do that.
Right.
Then you'll just hit the sunset. Some days you can't do it for 4 or 5 days. That kind of
Right.
humbles you. The morning is like a spiritual kind of high, and I've noticed the nighttime set is more of like a physical rebuilding, like just an energy type of thing.
Okay.
But one thing I need to say first is the regular lights on our phones or inside the houses only have one color spectrum. The sun has like all the 7 colors at one time. So that's why the red light specifically runs.
Like from setting or
The red light, it's in the morning and it's at night. Specifically runs the regeneration programs in the cell.
that would make
So
sense.
think about a solar panel absorbing light, you know? It's a great task. You can start off in the morning. I've noticed if I don't catch it in the morning, I can hit the 10 a.m. sun, the 11 a.m. sun. Eventually, as you do it throughout the months, you can hit a higher and higher point. And I tested this 2 years ago. I waited till noontime, went out, got grounded, and that sun let me look at it in the noontime sun. It's coming down way more faster and more concentrated,
Right.
but it's still accessible, and it shows you that the eyes can still adapt to any point. So it's not just the first and last hour. you can eventually work up to doing hitting the noontime sun.
Right, but you're not recommending any beginners do that. You're saying after you've been doing it for a while, then your eyes adjust and your thalamus opens up, and then you work up to it. People don't want to just go stare at the noon sun, because if I were to look at the sun right now, anytime besides 30 to 40 minutes while it's setting or rising, it hurts me. I have to work up to that if I'm going to do that. So, you're saying that over the years, you've trained your vision and
Totally
to completely
open. It wants to lock in. It wants that connection to it. Just the same way you lift weights, there's a certain type of muscle. There's a certain way you want to go at it. Like I'm looking at it right now.
Right.
And you want to do it through the center of the eyebrow, 2 eyes like this. And it's almost like you can feel, you can feel inside of your head. You just want to almost like put something to it though. You don't just kind of just turn into it like that. And I've noticed when you do that tough intention like that, it's a total meditation though too.
Right.
You don't have to think. You don't have to say anything to it. You just go into it and let it work on you. And it does it. It knows you and it knows what it needs to do.
Let me ask you this. What do you think? Do you think there's like some message coming in? Do you think it's like a download? Do you think it's like, can you go into a little bit to that?
In a way, maybe.
Have you ever gotten any, like, information, any
Yeah.
revelations? We'll go and talk about that a little bit.
If you're curious about something, people know about prayer or whatever, and they just do it here or there, anywhere. I've put thoughts into it before, knowing, but believing that it's a live energy, that it knows you and hears you.
Right. I believe that too.
It has come through many, multiple times where it's given me proof so that it knows your thoughts. I was working this job last year, and I was wondering what I should do, leave or something, and my boss, was one of the most ideal. I put a thought into it in the morning, and I said, show me, what I need to do with this. I think I told you this before.
I don't know. No, you haven't actually.
I said, show me what I need to do with this, show me what I need to do with this and how, and I just left it as that, and boom, just totally turned, just continued the day. And man, that day, the way it happened, I knew that it's such a benevolent thing, always wanting to uplift.
Right.
It's there for us, but we got to go out to it though,
Right, yeah. You ain't just gonna get the benefits from, being
I'm more in a preliminary energetic raising and mental clarity type of searching. The blood is photovoltaic, so it does collect the light photons.
Right.
And the torus field of the body, I've noticed can wamp up. Imagine sitting in a room for a month, with no lights on, get depressed. Going on the beach is fun and laughter running around. And the blood is a closed loop cycle, and it actually circles through the eyes and back around, and it gets exposed to the light as it's pumping like this. So when you get to the point of doing a 30-minute session, you're constantly, even though it's going through your skin and hitting your heart and hitting your joints, the eye is the main intake point. So when you can get your blood purified from the light, those little bacteria, viruses pop. They hate the light. They live in the dark.
Have you ever gotten really sick since you started doing the sun gazing? You have? So it's not like
No. I've seen like a cold or something very preliminary snuffed out within a day. I've never been sick in 5 years.
Oh wow! So what you're saying is, if you wake up and you feel kind of iffy, you go
It's
hit
a
that
total
sun.
immunity. Boop,
Okay.
total immunity back up.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So I've had, and I think you were there for this. When you took me sun gazing a few years ago before I moved to Denver, it was like out here. We went to that it's a landfill, but it's not really a landfill. It's like a hill, right? It's just
Yeah.
like a big hill. We walked to the top of the hill, and I remember standing there. He told me to take my shoes off, and we like stood there and like watched it set. And I remember like right as it was getting to the horizon, bro, like I had my feet on the bare feet on the ground, and I just felt kind of like you described with the whiteout. Like it wasn't a whiteout, but I felt this energy just pulsing through me, and I've never experienced anything like that again. But after that, it was like I had the best week of all time. Like I was just in a really good mood, had a lot of energy, just felt light in general.
Oh man, I feel like I'm 12 years old. I feel like a little kid. You know?
Yeah, definitely. So, let me ask this. With sun gazing, you said you notice pretty much helps with everything. Helps with, being sick, it helps with energy levels, all that. Have you ever noticed any bad effects, any negative effects?
No, the only negative effect would be, and your body will tell you, like I'm looking at the sun right now, if you push it too far, too early, like if you're catching the rise, the sun, morning rise, and you take it too long and your body won't leave you hanging. It'll tell you, it'll start to shake, it'll start to make it uncomfortable.
I've experienced that, yeah.
And I wanted to just, shoot off and just absorb as much as you can. You'll learn from that, and it'll put like this little white, it'll blur the vision slightly. It goes away though within a day or so. It'll pull in, it'll absorb in.
And that's only when you're staring at it. It's not
But
like
you cannot damage your eyes. No physical damage. No mental thinking irregularly. No.
Well, let me ask you this, because you said you can literally stare at the sun right now, and if I try to look at it for a second, it hurts. Okay, and I see you staring at it. So the question is, oh shit, I just lost my train of thought.
Well, look at it like this. Look at a bass, a speaker, boom, boom, and there's putting out waves like this, putting out waves.
Oh, I remember what my question was. Okay, so if you can look at the sun right now, when you look away, like
It's totally clear. Just like you woke up.
Because
at
I
any
mean,
point.
dude, for me, if
totally clear. You can
if
read
I
anything.
if I like the sun's glaring off the back of a car when I'm driving, it fucking blinds me.
It's not going in. It's getting reflected right here. Yeah, that hadn't been opened yet.
So what you're saying is, once you train your eyes to fully absorb the sun's light properly, you could stare directly at it and then look away, and there's no change and no blur, nothing like that.
No change. I've tested that 4 years.
I mean, dude, I can't. It's blinding me right now, and I see you staring at it.
Well, I've had years, I've had it for 5 years. So you really make friends with it. It's like a good friend you see down the street. You want to go and maintain a relationship with it and check up in on it, and you generally want to focus in on it. And it's such a focus point. When I meditate on it, you don't have to think. And if you have worries or problems, you can give it to it, You can give it up to it and just throw, stress or anger at it, but to get rid of it.
It burns away, you could say.
It does. Is a purifying thing. It's a purifying thing. And that's what the word comes from, that fire,
Right. And you don't meditate. You consider sun gazing as your meditation.
as the sun, as the focal point that you focus on. And you'll watch it. It'll transit. It'll just slowly go down. It's a benevolent thing. But I've really been able to grab it from such a deep wantingness and desire to see what it is and how it can work on you. And it's a uplifting thing,
Okay. Now, for someone that might have never tried sun gazing, what advice would you give to, a beginner at this?
Find a horizontal spot. Go pick your spot. Check the times. Know what time it's coming up. Know what time it's setting. Most people probably aren't going to want to do it in the morning, although I want to have that charge throughout the day. you know, but most practical thing I can see is find out what time the sun sets, find out a good western facing spot or horizontal spot where you can see it set, and go out 5 minutes before it sets. If it sets at 7:20, go out, get out there 15, 20 minutes before, wait for it, keep slowly turn into it. If it hurts, you know, look away, and then right before, if you put your hands up like this, 4 fingers is about 28 minutes. It's 30 minutes, 4 fingers. So you can track it like this and just slowly start to go into it. Daily, you're gonna be grounded like that, so the circuitry, so you can discharge, right? And you wanna go into it and just try not to do anything. You wanna try to just let it work on you. You want to, it's gonna bring out this urge to twitch, and you wanna just, you just wanna relax. Just relax, and you gotta know it's benevolent. You know it's not gonna hurt you. That's how I was able to do it. I knew from these guys I learned from that it doesn't hurt you. And once you're able to do like a full minute, keep go out a little bit earlier, you know, the next time. The best thing to do is the morning sunrise, because then it's new and it's young like that.
And you can
And
just
then
watch it
every
until it
time
hurts.
you can just go further and further.
Right. Yeah, in the morning is probably the best time to do it because you watch it, you know, come up and it's just a sliver, and you can stare right at the sliver, and you can even stare at it when it's a full circle coming up for a while.
Yeah.
I can, but then it gets
Yeah.
to a certain point where it starts to hurt, and then
Yeah.
you end it then. But then you're saying
Yeah.
you can work up, and eventually you'll be able to do it
Yeah.
all hours of the day.
Yeah. So I've tracked it. If the sun is on the horizon and it's a decent, like horizontal view, if the sun is just touching the top of the trees till when it's fully gone, it's 8 minutes exactly. So, you know, you can do that. You can wait for it like that.
Right.
But you just keep working on it. It's something you work on. It's kind of like a game, you know. And eventually, 2 or 3 months into it, you're gonna be able to do 15 minutes easy, and you will feel the physical effects first. 6 months down the road, you'll get the mental resetting, total clarity, and just perfectionism. And then the last part, which I'm kind of starting to feel now, is like this spiritual oneness with everything. So it kind of goes physical, mental, and then like this
Spiritual.
whole picture, which I'm still.
Wow. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much covered everything I wanted to say. Do you have anything else you want to add in closing?
Yeah, I would say do not use sunscreen. That's directly damaging. If you can't directly put it on a spoon and eat it, don't put it on your skin. Most of the problems come from the sunscreens, and the light burns it into you. That's where the problems come. Know that you will adapt. The 3 things: the light, water, magnetism. Magnetism comes from water and then light. If you do it in the morning, chug at least 2 glasses first. Get sufficient water, then the sunlight. That'll greatly help you bring it in. Even if you can't have water, it'll still work, but you know. So I would make sure, if you can, get a good spot, get grounded, get plenty of water around you, get like a half-gallon jug you can always have on you. And most importantly, know that it's going to work. Patience is a virtue. It has been a test of time.
Right. You said 5 years, man. You're just now getting to the final stages of
You
of
will
this
feel something the
benefits.
first or second day, but I'm telling you, if you push it months, and if you stay dedicated to that path,
Make it a lifestyle.
there is rewards there where you will. It's hard to even fathom it right now. So do those things. Know it's going to work. The patience there with it, that prudence, and if anybody around you thinks it's weird, thinks it's stressful, trying to pull you down or talking and say don't do it, and they haven't done it, that's another barrier to get across, is shedding off, unwanted, pessimistic views towards it. So if you align with all those, this energy ascension can freely happen and can continually freely to happen through you by tapping into this greatness we have above us here.
Awesome, man. All right, man. Well, I really appreciate you talking with me about this. This is a topic that I think a lot of people are interested in and might not really have the full spectrum and scope of what it can do or how to get started on it. And I think this is going to be very helpful for a lot of people. And I just want to say thanks. And this has been Lifted Living, excuse me. Season 1, Episode 1, Lifted Living, Kevin Bigley and Austin Hughes. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Later.